Good morning, everybody. Yep, we are back after a long weekend, and Lebang is in the studio. She's creating chaos already. We've got Ryan running things.
What?
Yeah. And thank you to everybody who already sent us little birthday messages over the weekend and all the rest, because yesterday we did turn 9 years old. I know, it's ridiculous, right?
It's nice. Not a lot of people make it to 9.
I don't think our business feels like it's 9 years old.
I mean, there's definitely been some growth, if I do say so myself.
Quite a lot, yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. Anyway, thank you to everybody who sent their birthday messages yesterday on the internets and all the different things. And it's very, very cool to reach our 9th birthday and to reach it with you. Very, very nice. All right. So, how was your long weekend, Lebang? What did you get up to?
It was long. I was actually not in Joburg at all. I packed the kids in the car, packed the family, and we took a trip down to Tonga, Komati Port, the far ends of Mpumalanga, where the family's from, and we buried evil aunt, and we came back. We came back 2 days ago, and then we just spent yesterday kind of just like regrouping, getting back into the zone, etc., etc. So I wasn't around. It was nice to kind of just be away. I can't say it was like the best time or period considering the purpose of the trip. It wasn't all joy. But you know, having all the family together is always nice, regardless of what the emulsifying agent is. The fact whatever's bringing us together, even though that may suck, it's just nice everyone together. So I was away, came back, and the weather in Joburg is lacquer. So yeah.
Well, yeah, apparently there was some pretty wild storms on, like, I think it was Saturday, people were telling me, because I was also away. First of all, well done on getting that evil aunt buried. It's never easy.
Yeah, no.
But, you know, whatever the excuse is, if the family can be together and get out of town, that's always nice.
Sure, sure.
I went to see one of the most amazing things that it is possible to see on planet Earth as a living human being. And I've got to say, anyone who is alive, you have to find a way before you die of going to see the Victoria Falls. Oh, my God. So technically this counts as an overseas trip, right? And it would be my first one of the year. Is that right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Zimbabwe, but Victoria Falls isn't really Zimbabwe. You know, Zimbabwe is like a different country. That place is almost like sealed off from the rest of it. It's just, it is a little slice of the most perfect, like school book, like movie version of Africa that you ever see.
Wow.
That is easily one of the most unbelievably beautiful places it is possible to visit, and you can't actually explain it in words, because I always used to see pictures of the Victoria Falls, and I would see people explain what the size and the magnitude of the water that goes over there is and how it all works and everything. But until you've been there, it's you'll never understand it. And I now get it. I get why people are captivated by this place. I get why it's evocative of so much of the movie stuff that people think of when they think of Africa. It's really just the most incredible place to see. So all I can say is make a plan somewhere in your life to get there at least once, because
was it your first time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. I thought you would have gone by now.
No, I'm kind of embarrassed about that, but at least I got there eventually, you know.
Sure. I saw a couple of people were actually down there this weekend. Was there like a, I don't know, like a thing happening?
I was meant to be there to be part of a big summit they were having, a Transform Africa summit, which was being hosted in Zim, and there were heads of state coming in from all over the continent, and it was going to be quite a big deal. And eventually, you know, I booked it in kind of concert with a little breakaway with one of our clients, and ended up putting the two together. And then the Transform Africa Summit sort of fell away for me because they just didn't get their act together in time. And I
Yeah,
went over just as a tourist to go and see the place, and man,
that's
am I happy.
nice.
Yeah, very, very special. And, I had an amazing time. So I'll get into more detail over the next few days and share some pictures and put some stuff up on social media and all the rest of it, but it was beautiful.
Would you put that in your like your top 5? Because I mean, you've seen a lot of beautiful places
You know what?
over the years.
In terms of just sheer natural beauty and
Yeah.
just being overwhelmed by seeing something, I would say
Mm.
it's absolutely in the top 5.
Wow.
Definitely.
Sure.
And it's right here, it doesn't have to be a difficult thing for South Africans to get there. You don't have to stay in the expensive places. Um,
Mm.
you don't have to pay for a direct flight. If you want to, you can fly into Harare or Bulawayo. You can fly into Livingston, which is in Zambia, but it's not
Mm.
not that far from us, and it is easily one of the most magnificent things you will ever see in your life. So, I'm not gonna say any more than that, but I was blown away. I did,
Mm.
however, because I'm very, very old, I did wake up on Friday morning last week just before we left, and I did the stretch thing where I went like this, and I heard something going, "Clah," and then I suddenly realized,
Ugh.
"Fuck." I realized, like, I've got something now. The
It's
My back,
sad.
I felt like I had the back of a thousand-year-old man all weekend.
So
So
it begins.
I know, but this is the kind of thing that, I've spoken about a couple of times on the show. Is like you don't appreciate not feeling shit until you feel shit.
Until you feel like crap. Then you're like, damn, what have I been doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I can dig it, but you'll be fine, Garth. I feel like you're like a fairly, you
No, I'll be
know,
alright.
like you're not the type to just like break stuff and then never get up again. You take care of yourself, you'll be okay. No, Vic Falls is definitely on the bucket list now. Ntogozo Majosi in the comments is saying it looks expensive, and I must agree. I think one of the things that's kind of deterred me from going is always like, will I be able to afford it? Or am
Yeah.
I better off just going to the Maldives or just going to the Balis of life? Is
Well,
it around the same price
I
or what?
think it costs about the same. It might even be a little bit less, but it's, way more impressive. I've just got I
Okay.
mean, I haven't been to the Maldives, but I can tell you that those Victoria Falls, you will never understand from pictures or videos or documentaries or other people's experiences. So, it's
Yeah.
just something to put it on the calendar, and then producer Ryan says, "My neck, my back, my
Lick
pussy,
my
and my
and my
crack."
crack.
So, yes, thank you very much. Anyway, I'll tell you more about that as we go.
Nice.
Tracy says a couple of years ago, I went on a road trip, started in Cape Town through Namibia, the Caprivi strip to Vic Falls, back to Cape Town via Bulawayo and Joburg. What a trip. There's something like,
Wow.
"Oh, that is nice. That sounds good, Tracy."
That sounds very, very nice. Sure.
All right. Well, we have many
Yeah.
things to talk about, and we've got lots of people joining us this morning. We've got Jean-Jacques Cornish joining us a little bit later on for Africanalysis. He's going to be telling us about Sudan, which is just a disaster.
Ugh.
And Emerson Mnangagwa, who's the president of Zim. Oh, look what I found. Someone found this for me, and I'm so happy. They found the fabric that they use for the
Wow.
presidential shirts, and
Yeah?
I'm gonna have a shirt made out of this.
Please do. Please do.
I'm gonna get it made. Look, ZANU.
That is epic.
Yeah. Vote ZANU PF. So I'm having one of those made this week. Speaking of Emerson, so we'll talk to Jean-Jacques Cornish about that.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
Also, even though it's not Monday, we'll do Markets Mondays with markets.com.
Mm.
And Dylan Bester is going to be joining us this morning as well to update us on what's going on in the markets. So I know a lot of people are wondering what their money is going to be doing and where they should be investing it and what kinds of things are happening in the world economy. Well, you've come to the right place because
Yay.
we will help you figure that out. All
It's
right, very good.
May, Gareth. It's a new month. There's just
It,
something about a new month, man.
it's gonna be May. So yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
May.
wear mine.
So May is always I don't know about May. It's like the weirdest fucking month. I'm not sure I like it.
Weirder than April? April's pretty up there as far as weird months go. It's like a fake month.
See, yeah, it is. I mean, especially because at least now all these ridiculous public holidays are over. I know there are lots of people who love them, so don't climb into me yet. But it's just nothing was done in April. Let's just face it.
Let's be
Look,
real.
we got some work done. We got some really cool things going on at Cliff Central, but that is most unusual because people do as little as they can in April. It's just a disaster. You try and get people are just all over the place. They're disorganized. They are, oh no, well, let's talk in May because
in May.
This week's also a write-off because remember, like today's already Tuesday, so we're going to get 4 days, and there will be for another week. But then starting next Monday, it's back to like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
It's
Thursday.
back. Yeah, it's back to like real life, and that's why I'm saying there's just something about May that just kind of comes with this like energy of like let's get it done, let's get our elbows in the grease, like a good vibe of productivity, because we know that April left with all the fluff, all those weeks of just like meh. And again, it's all those meetings that you were postponing for May are now about to happen, so I think it's cool. And it's like Cliff Central's birthday month, and it's my birthday month, and it's my best friend's birthday month, and it's just like it's good vibes. It's really good vibes.
I just understood where all this came from. You had to slip in your birthday, yeah. So now I
just like threw that in there. Just FYI. No, but really, like May's dope. May's dope.
One of the things I did not miss at all, and I still don't know what the fuss is about, even though Ryan explained it to me, and I see people posting about this all over social media, is the stupid Prime drink thing. Prime energy drink. Everybody seems to be obsessed with this rubbish, and it's just such a nothing thing to me. It's just like nothing. I do not.
It's hogwash. It's absolute hogwash. And remember, you and Ryan spoke about it last week, and he kind of touched on what it all is, and that it was about $400 at gas stations or whatever. So it officially launched at Checkers, and I think the price was something like $30, which is like 30 or 45 rand or whatever. Do you remember the days when like the first the first things land, like the first Starbucks in South Africa, people would line up outside and be like, oh, I can't, the first whatever it was. And I was a part of those movements, so I can't hate. But now we have a bunch of Thundercats. A lot of them are Latweezies. A lot of them not so much Latweezies, a little bit older, but a lot of the young kids that are huge fans of your Logan Pauls and your KSIs, these guys who essentially own this drink, of which I actually have some right over here.
Oh, wow. You bought it.
No, I did not. This was donated to me by producer Ryan because he bought it. He's the target market. It's a tropical punch flavored drink. It's just a corn drink, but it's crazy because parents all over South Africa yesterday woke up and their kids were like, "Mommy, Daddy, we have to get this drink." So a bunch of kids were like lined up outside of all these Checkers across the country, and most of it is sold out. They were filling up their trolleys. It was like those YDE flash sales back in the day where everything was like $10, where you just like line up. Or the first Burger King, the first Popeyes, the first of everything. We'd get there like, oh, can't wait to be the first. This is literally what the kids are going through. And a lot of parents are asking, what's in this drink? What's all the fuss? And yeah, it's just one of those fashion fads. From a marketing perspective, I think it's good for them. It's great. The kids love it. But as a parent, I'm like, what exactly is going on? What's going on? Because it's creating a bit of hype.
Does it taste to you as I expect it will taste to me, like oros?
I'm not going to taste this. You can be the judge of that. I'm not opening this.
I can guarantee you there's going to be Fong Kong Prime out on the street. People
real quick.
Oros into a Prime bottle, but not even a Prime bottle. One Prime written on it.
The Oros one will probably even taste a bit better because at least Oros, we know exactly what's going on. This one is just like an unreal thing. There's this video of these kids actually lined up at these.
Do I want to see this?
You do, because I want you to see how bad it is.
All right. Well, this is another reason I'm glad I didn't have children, but here we go.
Prime launch in South Africa.
Yeah.
I do not understand it at all.
That was
Wild,
probably over
right?
300 kids and their parents lined up waiting
Ugh.
for the checkers to open. Once the doors open, they just run in there, all for this energy drink of which
Idioto.
they don't even know us. But look, Ryan will tell us more about it tomorrow. I think he's had a few. He'll
Oh
know
my
what the
God.
hype is about. I'm just not the target market. I'm not interested in it. Those who are, good for you. Hopefully it'll last. But it just kind of feels like these guys were taking a shot and they took a good one.
Tracy says, best thing I saw yesterday was parents on Facebook marking themselves safe from being bullied by their teenagers who've been influenced by influencers.
Lol.
Yeah. Derek says, like them, I hate them. KSI and Logan Paul milked that fight to the very last drop. The hype they create is probably one of the best marketing stunts ever. Absolutely. But I'm always amazed at how dumb people are to be swept up into a trend like this.
Right?
No, I mean no disrespect, even to our producer Ryan, who was also swept up into this. Otherwise, why would he have brought one in? But I have to ask you this: like, if everybody's doing something, is it still cool?
That's the question, right? That is the question. I think there's like this balance that people struggle to find with everybody's doing it. Let me be a part of it so I can be a part of what's topical and be part of the cool gang. And
Someone
then
on the
there's
line.
like, oh, is there
Let's see
someone
who-
calling? Oh, please
Hello.
call us and tell us about this prime drink, sir.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's about Prime. We'll see now. Hey, what's up?
Hello?
Yebo.
Morning.
Mapela here.
Hey, Mapelo, what's up?
Hey, my pillow.
Hey. So since I have kids here in the house, I
Mm.
got to take Prime. And yeah, it does taste like Oro, honestly.
Oros, there we go.
Yeah, I think Oros is better actually because this has that sharp thing that stays here in your throat.
Mm.
Yeah.
In your throat, you know, that thing, very sharp. Oros is better, honestly.
Mapelo, how much did you have to pay for this? Did you go for the?
No, I didn't pay for it. Since there are kids here, they went to the shop with their father and they brought me one. I was like, okay,
my
let me
God.
taste this. And at first, I tasted it. I was like, wow, this is really good. And then suddenly, I'm like, wait, what is that?
Oros.
This is a familiar taste.
It's like
So,
Oros.
Is it
really bad.
is it carbonated or is it just
No,
like a
it's
fruit
still-
juice? Oh, really?
It's like fruit. It's like fruit juice, squash like Oros.
Ooh, they are playing us.
Yo, it's so
Dude.
sweet. Oros is better because this thing is like so sweet. It's very bad. Almost like medicine.
So we
That
can
tastes like medicine.
so we can skip this one.
Skip it. This rubbish.
All right.
40 rand. That's nothing. It's
All
like
right.
nothing. 40
Now-
rand. Never.
Now I know, thanks, Mapelo.
Thanks, my pillow.
I know there are going to be people who say, "Oh, you're just old and boring, and you don't get it." But I'm sorry, like just
That's
buying
fine.
buying shit that everyone on planet Earth can buy is not cool or interesting. And if it's just ordinary fucking fruit juice or tastes like ordinary fruit juice, it has no special powers. You have fallen for the marketing hype, and I know that people do, and I know I have at various times in my life. But there's never been a point where I've looked back on those things and been proud of myself.
Well, that's because you're on the other side of it. Now you're a little bit older and you can look back and say, haha, to be young. They are still like in the thick of it, where for them, this is what matters. And more so that this is something that's come from YouTube stars. Now they can take this and jump onto that and say, ooh, look what I've got. Notice me, YouTube star that I subscribe to and like so much. That's all that this kind of is about. It's just having the ability to repost it and reshare it and seem cool. That's all that matters to them. And it's interesting to watch, man. It's interesting to watch.
Yeah, Gijs also brings up what you said earlier about like Starbucks. And this reminds me when Burger King, he says, opened their doors in South Africa and with people queuing for hours just to get a burger. We'll never understand that.
Look, I'll be honest. I was one of those people. I queued outside the Burger King. I was so excited, and I've never set foot back in there. Like it was just for that momentary, like, excitement, and so you can like share it online and let everybody know that you tasted the Burger King. But I've never gone back there. And that is part of the thing. It's just a fad. It's for that moment. And life kind of goes on, unless you really get a liking to the thing. But I promise you, like, if we were to look back a year from today and look back at this show, I wonder if Prime would still be in stores.
Oh, listen,
it won't even be a real thing.
All right. So I get that that people might be keen on this stuff because they've never tried it before, and because all their friends are talking about it. Maybe there's a huge amount of peer pressure that comes into this, etc., etc. But to watch those people running into Checkers when it opens to buy this stupid shit is just, it's embarrassing. I'm sorry, there's no two ways about it. It's like you've got grown people, and some of them are teenagers, sure, but some of these are adults. They're running into a shop to buy an energy drink. Are you out of your mind? Have you lost all sense of reality? Have you got an inability to determine what is important and what isn't? I mean, come on, get shit together, right?
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. I mean, if we can get people to queue up to vote like that would be nice. Well, like, let's get that marketing team.
None of those people who lined up for Prime and rushed through the doors and waited for however long they waited in the queue will wait 5 minutes to vote in the upcoming elections. And yet they'll be the first ones to complain when the next big fad doesn't want to come to South Africa because it's too difficult to import stuff.
It'd be like that. It'd be like that. But look, let's not bash it anymore. Let's give producer Ryan his moment. He did bring you this bottle, so you'll get an opportunity to taste it tomorrow. And I guess he can speak on.
I'm super excited. Hey, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning. Can I speak to Gareth?
Yeah, go ahead. You're on. This is me.
That's Gareth.
Sorry?
Yeah, you're on the show. Go ahead. This is Gareth.
Oh, Gareth, can you hear me? Errol.
Oh, Jesus. Yes, Errol, we can hear you. Get on with it. Come on.
Yeah, I'm from Durban. I had that drink, and wow, it was amazing, man.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I recommend that to anybody. It's actually better than a beer, and I love beers, All
right, Errol, have a happy day. Cheers.
Bye, Errol. Sure. So early in the day. I don't know about it being better than beer.
Clearly hyped up on energy drink.
And he doesn't sound like he's one of those teenagers that were like at the doors of Checkers waiting for it. That's a grown-ass man.
Yeah, right.
Rebellious
Ruth says, I went shopping at 2 hospices yesterday, got everything I wanted and more for like 350 Rand. Needed 2 lampshades, 2 wash baskets, hangers, shoes brand, and never been worn, and it supports a great cause. So, Ruth, you go hospice shopping for your stuff?
This is a first. I've actually never heard of that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a humble brag where she's like telling us what a good person she is. I mean, it's very nice of you.
Ruth doesn't seem like the type. She doesn't seem like the type. She's probably just like filling us in on some things you can do, like try shopping at hospice. Under 350 for all of that? In this economy?
All right. Okay, she says you got to try your luck. Sometimes you get great finds. Okay, is that like
thrifting?
Yeah, it's like a charity shop, and all the money goes to the hospice, which is, I mean, it's a good cause. So if you're going to find anything,
sure.
Congo Chris reckons that Errol was actually Logan Paul disguising his voice as part of their marketing plan.
Could be true. High possibility. Gareth, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Gareth? Can you hear me, Gareth? Yo.
All right. Okay, so I don't know if this happens to you as well, but at the end of the month, my network just goes slow. It just goes, it puts me on, I don't know, it like throttles all my usage, even if I haven't used up all my gigs. The last 2 days of every month, it feels like my phone isn't working. I'm like, are you working?
Wake
Hello?
up.
I have to hit the damn thing. Is that what happens to you?
I feel like there's definitely something that happens like when it gets like busier periods. So from the 25th, where everybody has money again, like that last week of, I don't know what it is, but the network just gets like so tricky and so messy. I'm actually over it, to be honest. Like I realize that I possibly need to look into switching networks for the first time in my life, just because I'm tired of the abuse that constantly happens. So I don't know what it is, but I do suspect that because these towers are piggy banking off other towers and like
maybe it's just there's too much usage.
like
The usage
traffic.
goes-
Is there even such a thing? That
I
there's
don't
like usage traffic of network and like too many people on the same network in the same area, like it gets clogged. I don't know how it works, but I can tell you that it's frustrating and that it's annoying. Like in fact, at some times in this weekend, I had absolutely no network. I had to get in the car and drive to the next city just to
wasn't
like,
just you.
I don't know what was going on. I don't know what was going on.
Definitely wasn't just you. I've also noticed like my home internet has become slow towards the end of the month, which is weird because that's on a like
Yes.
fixed line, and I don't know if maybe they're messing with us, and I think you and I are on different networks as well, so maybe we've got similar experiences across the board. I don't know. Maybe somebody who pays attention to these things, or one of the conspiracy theorists, can help us with this. Like, is there a
Yeah.
conspiracy to get us off the networks towards the end of the month?
Yeah,
Undoubtedly.
there has to be something in the air, like all connectivity things just kind of go towards the end of the month, and you're like, this is weird. What's actually happening? And then like as soon as everybody goes back to work, it's just like back to regular programming. Like there's a thing on my generator that fell off. Like I've got this like little thing that actually keeps the generator generating. That little piece that just like fell off. Now I had to call those people to come. I don't know what's happening.
Fell off?
It's like a little contraption that they attached to the generator to make it work again. And now it's just fallen off.
I think you're in big
Literally.
trouble. I think you're like you're about 2 minutes away from your whole house exploding by the sound of things.
No, I don't need that in the universe, Gareth. Take that back. Yeah, but
Something
it's real.
generator.
It did. It's like a little contraption that they put on to make it work. It's a real thing, Gareth. I'm not making this up. It's actually a real thing. So
I don't think you even know what's going on. Like that generator sounds like a health risk.
Look, it's been around for about 20 years. Remember when I bought the new house, the generator, they threw that in there in the purchasing price. Like they're like, you can have our old generator. I was like, oh, thanks, guys. So obviously it's a bit old. And then like when you started to go, it doesn't go to the hum.
They threw it in with the house because they were like,
it's on its way out anyway.
No, this is gonna die in a minute.
Yeah, but I found these people that came through and then they put a contraption on it that allowed it to go from to hum. So I was like, oh, this is great. Thanks, guys. Now that hum thing is now on the floor. It just literally has fallen off. Obviously, I suspect my kids have something to do with it, but also because it's a generator, it sits there going the whole time. Could just be like all that shaking and stuff. Anyway, somebody's coming to fix it. I'll be sorted.
All right, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost time for us to check in with JJ Cornish. We'll get to that just now. I see a lot of people here talking about all kinds of things this morning. Ruth still going on about her charity shop that she went to, a thrift store. But
AKA Hospice.
Says throw in load shedding and the cell phone towers no longer have battery backup. So that's interesting. So you're going, they stopped with batteries as they kept being stolen. So that could be the reason that our signal goes down. Bit of a worry.
This is another one from Mel F. She says, my son in IT says all throttle at month end, even fiber lines. So we're not crazy, Gareth.
So, okay, this is good news because I thought I was going mad. I thought like I was stupid or something. Okay, good. Not good.
Not good, but like
we know we're not insane.
Yes. Okay, no, that's a bit of a relief. I was taking out my anger on everyone.
Can you imagine how much global warming is coming just from Lebang's generator? It's 1,000 years old.
It's me, guys. It's my fault. Blame me. My tiny little generator is the real cause of all your problems. I'll send you a picture of it. Oh, dude, it's hogwash. It's so bad.
Well, all right. Here, I don't know if we want to see that. It'll probably get you arrested. Probably get you into such huge trouble. All right, so here's something you need to know this morning. A
Yeah.
couple of the news stories that everybody's talking about today. Of course, it wouldn't be another week in South Africa without Thabo Bester featuring in the news. It's like this is one of the only stories this year that's actually caught anyone's attention. People don't care about the news, and then a story like this comes along, and it's all they care about. So,
Yep.
police have arrested 2 former G4S employees for their alleged role in the Thabo Bester escape plot. National Police spokesperson Brigadier Atlenda Mate said that the 2 employees who G4S had dismissed were arrested on Monday at their homes in Bloemfontein. The pair will appear before the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court on Wednesday on charges of assisting an inmate to escape from lawful custody. The team investigating the case has so far arrested 8 suspects. This is like a network of people that were involved in this thing. It seems like as long as you've got some serious money, you can get some serious things done.
No, look, money can change any and everything, especially in South. You see this country, money is the real currency. This is how you get your way. This is how you talk. This is how you get away with murder, because this is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that all these people are just coming out of the woodworks slowly also shows you that they're kind of amateurs. They didn't, they didn't thingy their tracks. They just kind of left all the evidence out there because they thought, oh, well, we'll never get caught. Look who's laughing now. This is absolutely joking. This is not real. Amateurs.
So I don't know if there's anything else that I've missed out on this Thabo Bester situation, but I assume he and Dr. Nandi are still in custody, right?
Yeah, seems they're still in custody. Seems they're still not eating anything at all.
They're on a hunger strike?
They're on a bit of a hunger strike. They of fear of getting poisoned, last I heard.
Oh.
So
Well, guys, I hate to break it to you, but if you don't eat something, it's just the same as being poisoned because you're going to die, because you're going to starve to death. So make your decisions, make your choices.
Gareth, too soon. Too soon.
No, sorry. I don't feel anything for these 2. And I have not been caught up in this because these are the kind of people I look up to. Like, I get the distinct feeling from some people that they actually they worship these 2, that they're into them because they're celebrities. Which worries me a little bit. It's like we've turned the worst people in society into celebrities. You know, it just concerns me a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Congo Chris says it's not really groundbreaking news, but I saw a headline that yet another housing project has failed to be completed because billions in funds have been pillaged. Yeah.
Story of our lives.
We'll see if we can find more info about that. We'll also talk about the South African government that have stepped in to get 22 South African nationals who are stranded in Cairo, their documents to get them back here. But we'll talk to JJ about that because it's all linked to what's going on in Sudan. And then another thing we may want to talk to JJ about, if we've got time, is these death cult deaths in Kenya.
Kenya, that was sad.
First post-mortems of more than 100 bodies unearthed in a coastal forest. They examined 9 children aged 1 to 10, as well as a woman. And they were in mass graves. They linked to a Kenyan pastor who's suspected of inciting followers to fast to death. And they've confirmed starvation was the cause of death, although some victims were asphyxiated. Experts carrying out the post-mortems of more than 100 bodies unearthed in a coastal forest examined 9 children aged 1 to 10, as well as a woman. I mean, this is just so weird, right? A death cult. Such a bizarre thing. So we'll see if we have time for that with JJ just now. And then the host of MasterChef Australia just died all of a sudden. Just died. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows how. Nobody knows what exactly happened. 46-year-old. His name was Jock Zonfrillo. What a name. Jock Zonfrillo. And he apparently just died suddenly. The Scotsman worked in renowned restaurants around the world before opening his own in Australia. His death was confirmed by the broadcaster on the day the day of the 2023 premiere of MasterChef about to air. He is survived by his wife Lauren and their 4 children, who said in a statement that their hearts were shattered. Do you know anything about this? Because I don't watch MasterChef, so I don't know anything about it.
I also don't know anything about this guy, but I did see that he had sadly and suddenly passed on And again, like nobody really knows what happened. He seemed relatively healthy. He seemed cool. He was just like living his life. And then boom. And 46 is young.
That is young. I mean, here he
Mm.
is. A picture of him with the two other Who knew MasterChef needed 3
We're
hosts?
still-
This is how out of the bubble I am. I don't watch the show, but this is the guy in the middle. The guy in the middle is the one who's dead now. He's 46 and he's gone. And then the other two
Damn.
on the other side, it seems they're still alive, so they'll carry on with the show.
Mm.
He's I don't know. He was found dead in his house in Melbourne when police conducted a welfare check in the early. A welfare check? They just go from house to house in Australia, just checking, are you alive?
Dude, anything is possible in Australia. It's Australia.
It is so bizarre. Anyway, his death sparked an outpouring of grief from figures in the culinary and entertainment world.
Shame,
Oliver, that's Jamie Oliver and Gordon Ramsay, led the tributes. They said they were scheduled to appear in the season opener, posted an Instagram picture of Zonfrillo and 2 other judges. In total shock to wake up to the sudden death of Jock, we had the best time working together in this year's MasterChef, wrote
Shame,
Jamie
man.
Oliver.
That's sad. A lot of people, I mean, die all the time, but Jerry Springer also died this weekend. It was like just people just, leaving us and going to the other side.
I still am blown away by the fact that Melbourne police just go around house to house just doing like, hello, we're just here to check everything's all right.
We're just checking.
All right, someone's dead. We'll just have to load them up into the car and drop them off. Now, I'm sorry if I sound cavalier about this, but I don't watch MasterChef, so I have absolutely no relationship to this guy at all. So I don't know who he is. I don't have any dog in this fight at all. But it does seem weird to me that in Australia the police have time to just go door to door, just checking. Hi, hello, how you doing, ma'am?
Where was his family? I mean, if he's got a wife and 4 kids, where were they when he was found dead at his house in Melbourne?
Maybe they were busy filming and he was staying somewhere else. I don't know.
It's giving sus. It's really giving sus. I don't know. It's not make sure.
Carl says he suspected suicide. He was always playing with something in his hands on the show. I would not be shocked if he was depressed or anxious.
Oh, man.
There's a bit of pedestrian psychology going on from Carl, but well done.
From Carl, our regular pedestrian psychologist.
Apparently, Congo Chris says if you don't show up to work and your family hasn't heard from you, then they do a welfare check. It's not a normal thing. Oh, okay, so they don't just pitch up at your house.
Oh, okay, that kind of makes it make a little bit of sense. Mara still,
you imagine South African police coming around to do a welfare check? They'd come in and steal your stuff while you were lying dead on the floor.
They won't even come. They are too lazy and too busy pretending that they're busy. They don't have any business coming to check on you. Nah, they won't.
All right, well, there we go. We've learned something new, that they do welfare checks in Australia. So it took MasterChef Australia losing someone for us to actually figure this out. Let us, ladies and gentlemen, turn our attention to the great JJ Cornish, who is, of course, joining us for Africanalysis, brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School. We'll look at what's happening on the continent. JJ Cornish, how are you, sir?
G'day. I'm very well, thanks. How's your father?
Well, JJ, I mean, this story in Australia is a little further than we usually go. We look at the continent of Africa, but we've got so much to talk about here today that I want to get straight into the situation in Sudan, because I'm a little bit confused. I know you gave us the basics of it the other day, but can you just take us through what exactly is going on there again?
Well, the fourth ceasefire has failed. Now, there was a 70-hour ceasefire in which a lot of people were moved out. That was extended, but that's failed. They've been shelling Khartoum. 500 people have died in Khartoum, but sadly, at least 200 people have died in that western province of Darfur, once the humanitarian cesspool of the world, and that's now becoming very, very bad again. Is there any chance of peace? Well, the two sides are not saying. The military and the paramilitaries are having at each other hammer and tongs. A civil society group has said, well, in this case, democracy is going to be upended in Sudan, and the military is going to take over and remain in control. The United Nations says Sudan is collapsing. And the various neighbors have come in. South Sudan have come in to try and make peace. Egypt now says it's come up with a proposal, a new draft resolution to bring in peace. But what the United Nations saying, scary, is that about 815,000 refugees are expected to go to Sudan's 7 neighbors. Now, you know, if things are that bad that you have to seek refuge in Chad or Libya or Eritrea or South Sudan or the Central African Republic, you can imagine how bad things have to be. And there just seems to be no respite at this point.
Yeah. JJ, you said the 4th ceasefire, and I can't help thinking that, you know, there are all those different cataracts on the Nile. And it's almost like they're going for the same number of ceasefires as they went for cataracts on the Nile. And I don't mean to make light of this, but it's very hard for South Africans to understand just how unstable this part of the world is. I mean, we did have the nation of South Sudan created not so long ago, but Sudan has been pretty much a war zone, or at very least, you could say it was unstable since its inception as a country. It's not the kind of place people go on holiday. It doesn't seem like it's the sort of place where, there's regular service, where governments know what the hell's going on, where the military aren't always looming in the background. What's the greater context around Sudan? Is this a country that has the potential to settle down and become a real part of the contributing part, rather, of Africa, or is it just a total disaster?
I wouldn't call it that. It looks, it's heading that way, sadly, right now. But Sudan, it's a large country, was the largest country in Africa until it divested itself of South Sudan. The thing is, there in Sudan, there's an ethnic battle, and they don't like to talk about it, but the Arabs control Sudan. And South Sudan was African, essentially. And so that was the problem for a long, long time. Now, Sudan, of course, was part of the British Empire. Gordon of Khartoum was killed in Sudan. You know, in the what is now the presidential palace was the Governor General's palace. He died there. Right. So, you know, with the Mahdi there, it's always had, as you say, this absolute litany of problems. I've been out to Sudan, I don't know, half a dozen times, once to observe elections in which Omar al-Bashir, surprise, surprise, won the election. And I've been and taken all over. There are more pyramids in Sudan, I can tell you that, than there are in Egypt. So that sort of thing. But at the confluence of the White and the Blue Niles, it's strategically placed beyond virtually any other African country. And as you see, with those 7 neighbors, starting, with Libya, going down to Central African Republic, Chad, South Sudan, Eritrea, and Ethiopia. It's really, really, really like the Congo, surrounded by so many other countries. And the problem is that if the ethnicity factor becomes a major one, and it plays a very, very big part right now, it's going to it could drag those 7 countries into war with it. So that is it, the knock-on effect, which is so dangerous.
JJ, it always interests me when things like this happen to see how many South Africans there are all over the world in these far-flung places doing things. I mean, we had, South Africans just like you and me in Lebang teaching English in schools in Khartoum, for example. And now, of course, it becomes our government's responsibility to get those people out. Many of them have fled across the border to Egypt already when they started with a gunfire and blowing things up at the airport and so on. But it is interesting that there are always, in all of these bizarre countries, in all of these weird situations, a bunch of ordinary South Africans stuck somewhere in the background.
And very interesting. I mean, my travels around Africa, I once had my problem with my computer, and I couldn't work it, and I didn't know how to work it, and I was using bad language and pointing up at the stars and saying, why aren't you helping me? When along comes a guy in a pair of shorts that are far too small and a pair of veldskoene with orange laces and huge big banana fingers, and he said, yeah, give me this, and then turned it and book, and he got my thing working. And he was in Tanzania. And I then began to speak to him and tried to speak about the kind of majesty of being there and the magic of a South African doing something in Africa. And, you know, what good, the reason why you're in there is that you're the only person in south of the Sahara who can field strip a Villiers water pump. And he looked at me and said, no, it's the money. And they make lots and lots of money going into Africa. And that is why South Africans are there. That is why Nigerians are there. That is why Congolese are there. You know, the Congolese like to boast that if you go to Cape Canaveral, you will find Congolese working in prominent roles there. Well, South Africa is becoming this way too. We did only have 77 people in Sudan, not thousands like the Brits and the Americans. And it took an inordinately long time to get them out. You know, they were saying, oh, the airfield is inoperative and the roads are dangerous. Other nationals were moving along those roads. They were indeed, it was hazardous, and there were people being held up and held to ransom and that sort of thing. But the South Africans took some time. It seems they got them all out, making some joke at the end about all the South Africans plus 2 Scottish terriers. So, you know, they put some humor into it, but it wasn't a funny thing at the time. Now it seems that, you know, people didn't have their documents with them and they're now stuck in Cairo trying to get out. But I think that's going to be a consular matter. They'll fix that.
And are you happy that our Department of International Relations and Cooperation, DIRCO, are able to actually help these people? How long does it usually take?
You know, it could take some time. I mean, to replace a passport could take some time, no doubt about it. And if these people were traveling and in a moment of crisis, you know, you should, in fact, when you're abroad, walk around with your passport with you. But these people clearly weren't. So they were taken out, spirited away to safety in Egypt. And it seems now that they're going to have to get new passports. So they're just going to have to wait. It could take maybe a week or so. Although if you and I wanted a passport, it could take maybe a year or so.
Well, here's an interesting question from Yonder before we move on. It says, JJ, I've been following geopolitical issues as most involve a third hand at play. Who is fondling who in Sudan, or found what mineral to suddenly spark the fighting? Is there an invisible third hand here, or is this just the ethnic breakdown that you already explained to us?
Mineral rich, there's no doubt about it. South Sudan having all the oil, and they move it through Sudan to Port Sudan, the oil. The fact is, every drop of oil is being bought up by the Chinese. You know, I went into this fabulous hotel on the banks of the Nile thinking, I know I'm not going to get strong drink here, but I can have a lovely cup of tea. I sat down and along came a Chinese guy came and said, yes. I said, hello, what are you doing here? I said, I've just come to have a pot of tea. It's really a beautiful hotel. He said, no, I have to ask you, what are you doing at the Greater China's Sudan Oil Company headquarters? And I said, well, and he escorted me out. The fact is that the Wagner Group has been busy in Sudan. Russia is getting more and more and more involved in Sudan, as they are all over Africa. So there is the geopolitical issue is coming into play more and more, and that is a very dangerous one. To have the Wagner Group anywhere is not a good thing. They're operating, of course, in neighboring Central African Republic, and they're looking in Chad. So again, if the fighting boils over into the neighboring states, that is when we are in for grown-up problems.
All right, JJ, let's turn our attention to some other stories because there's quite a lot to talk about this morning. Zimbabwe, I was just in Zimbabwe over the weekend, and Emmerson Mnangagwa has been warned that time is running out for an election date by the Zimbabwe Independent Electoral Commission. I bought this for you, JJ. I'm going to make a shirt out of it. Here's Emmerson Mnangagwa. This is the presidential fabric that they start wearing around election time. What do you think is going to happen there?
Well, you know, I would be very, very surprised if he didn't win the election. You know, the way things are going. So I wouldn't be making underwear with that fabric right now, or not for a little while. He was elected, of course, in 5 years ago in August 2018. Now the next election has to happen within 30 days of that election, and so the Independent Electoral Commission is saying you better come up with a date right now, because if we're going to have an election between the end of July and the end of August, you know, we've got to plan to do this now, and you will be in violation of the Constitution. Now, violation of the Constitution is not something that bothered his predecessor terribly much, and we don't know just how bad he's going to be. You know, when you talk to Zimbabweans, you must have found that a lot of people are saying, well, you know, things were much better under Robert Mugabe. But, you know, you do get that in all sorts of countries. If you come to South Africa, people say things were a lot better under apartheid, or in Russia, they say things were a lot better under the communist system. You know, people that are disaffected will be saying things like that. But Mnangagwa's got a big job, a grown-up job on his hands, trying to win this election. And he's going to need international observers there. I mean, I've been observer at 3 Zimbabwe elections, one of which I left voluntarily with the police on my tail because I felt that that I was really just endangering my fellow observers from the Independent Electoral Commission of Africa. But he's got to come up with a date soon, and that is the interesting thing. Why hasn't he done so yet? Is he planning to hold on? Is he planning something nefarious? We don't know, and sadly we don't know in Zimbabwe. And you know, in South Africa we will pay the price, because if things go wrong there, they come over our border. When I said I left with the police on my tail, I just made it over the border and took shelter in a hotel for the night. And the hotel owner showed me how thousands of people literally had walked across her property the night before, having just crossed the Limpopo.
Wow. JJ, the problems also, all of these problems, Sudan, what's going on in you know, in parts of the world like Somalia. I mean, these are obviously things that put communities out of action. They force people to seek food and shelter wherever they can get it. Apparently, the UN World Food Programme has resumed some desperately needed food aid to Somalia. Not a long time goes by between the discussions of Somalia on this show, unfortunately.
Well, Somalia is actually better news in the sense that, you know, it's the largest humanitarian agency, the World Food Programme. It feeds something like 7.5 million people, and they're reliant on this. This is at unprecedented levels now. But the resumption, in fact, has been in Sudan, where 3 World Food Programme workers were killed at the beginning of the violence, and now they stopped just providing food, as though you could do that. You know, medical supplies have just got back for the first time since the fighting in Sudan, able to treat thousands of people. The fact is that the medical situation there, the medical system or infrastructure has absolutely broken down. So the fact that the World Food Programme now is able to provide food in Sudan is very, very good news. And they've got a pattern in Somalia, how they've been able to do this over the years. They've got 100 partners in Somalia that help them with it. And that's something they're going to have to emulate in Sudan and get food to the people, because right now they have no power, no water, and many of them have no food, certainly no medical assistance. So the situation is dire, and that's all up in that part of Africa, which is right now the most dangerous and the most undesirable to be in.
Well, thank you for your expertise this morning and your explanations of what's going on the continent. It's always good to check in with you, JJ Cornish, and I hope you'll have an excellent week, despite all of this not necessarily good news coming out of the rest of Africa. But we'll check in with you in a couple of days' time. I'm
so looking forward to that. Thank you.
JJ, we forgot to ask about Kenya, about the cult and all the deaths. I mean, as much as the bad news continues, if there's anybody who knows everything about what's going on down there, I think you should.
Yeah, the pastor's name, believe it, Lebang, the pastor's name is Paul Mackenzie, and he's not a Mlungu. Probably never worn a kilt in his life. He says he cut that idea of starving people to death some time ago, but he's appeared in court now. And as Gareth mentioned, there are more than 100 bodies being found, some of them babies or very, very young children. And he's on tape as saying to some mum, yes, your child is crying from hunger, but leave her. This way she will get to heaven, so that he persuaded people not only to starve themselves to death, but to starve their children. And, this is, it's, of course, it's horrible. It happens in Africa, but this kind of cultism, deadly cultism, is something we've seen all over the world, and particularly in the United States. It's just, it's absolutely parlous.
It's horrendous. So this guy's name is Mackenzie, huh?
Paul Mackenzie, yeah.
Former taxi driver. How do you go from taxi driver to
mass murderer?
Yeah, mass murderer.
Let your listeners come in on that one. Your switchboard will now light up.
All right, JJ, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for today.
Thanks,
we'll
JJ.
with you very much again. There's Africanalysis, which is brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School. If you haven't checked out what they're up to, you can go and find out on cliffcentral.com. They do all kinds of amazing things across the continent. They're also trying to get more of us involved in business opportunities in the rest of Africa. And there are lots of those. So if you've got your eyes open and you're paying attention, we will make sure we get JJ Cornish in here at least every couple of days to inform you on what's happening on the rest of the continent. Stick around. We've got plenty more on the way. It is a Tuesday morning. We're into the month of May. It's already the 2nd of May. Lebang and I are here to look after you. And we've got, even though it's not Monday, even though it's Tuesday, Markets Mondays, because we didn't have a chance to do that yesterday. We're going to do that with markets.com next. Don't go anywhere. cliffcentral.com, Tuesday morning.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
Moving on, so I think the automotive space is going to change more about how people actually buy and sell cars. I think that's going to be great.
Now there's an opportunity, for things to change quite quickly.
And I think that it's going to change for the good. So, for instance, personalized marketing is something that's been kind of raised, which is just learning your behavior and ultimately assisting you in finding your car or finding a solution for buying or selling.
A lot of the usefulness of the current language-based artificial intelligence like GPT-4 and ChatGPT comes about with the assistant.
I was about to say, yeah.
It's a highly intelligent assistant. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Just because it's about technology, connecting your business to the rest of the world doesn't mean you need to send rockets to space and use complicated solutions. Want to simplicate things? Well, join Jaco Voigt, who is the CEO of Catalytic, on the Unbundled podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Jaco decodes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and cloud solutions. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and is available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. That is correct. Don't forget to join Yaku and his team a little bit later on today for another episode of Unbundled. And if you haven't checked them out yet and you are having trouble with your internet, maybe those are the people we must talk to, Lebang. Duh. We've got somebody who actually knows this stuff. Here, you and I sitting and complaining about being throttled at the end of the month. Well,
Tisk, tisk, tisk.
I'm sure Yaku can help us figure that out too. So we'll ask him next time he's on the show. Or I'll just ask him when I come into the studio this morning.
As well. And you know, Yaku's like good for it, man. He's always willing to help. He's probably the guy that can get us out of Dodge. Do you think he can help with my generator?
No, no one on earth can. Because your generator sounds like it was built during the Victorian era.
Yo, I should have told you. Yo.
No, this thing is going to get you into huge trouble.
It won't. I just need to get it fixed.
No.
Just get some glue, piece those things back together, and Bob is my uncle.
No. I think that everybody can tell that you are this thing is dangerous. By the way, this is what it sounds like. Lebang's generator. Okay, you ready? Here, listen. That's what it sounds like.
It actually really does. That's literally the sound.
And her neighbors can't hear anything when her generator switches on. Just everything in the neighborhood goes. You know, like when the generator is actually pulling power that isn't there. So lights start flashing and flickering.
No, how do you know this? That's exactly what happens. Like the lights go top. Then I'm like, okay, cool, we are.
Like one of those old things with those huge big light bulbs that they used to like power up Frankenstein.
Yes. You got me busted. That is exactly it.
Chris says quite rightly, the technology for Lebang's generator is lost with the mysteries of the pyramids. No.
Hey, man, as long as it works, I don't have a problem. That's all. For me, as long as it works, it's not like the government works. Eskom certainly doesn't work. So I'll take what I can and the generator will suffice. Speaking of Eskom, Gareth, I was at some...
I knew we couldn't get through one morning without having to talk about load shedding, but yes, we are.
It's not load shedding per se, but one of my best friend's husband has started, owns a solar company, and he's had it for a couple of years. And there was actually a whole like exhibition last weekend at Sandton Convention Center, which was hosted by Huawei. I don't know when or how. I'm not their target market, but he just posted in the group, "Hey guys, I'm at the convention center, come through." So obviously I'm up the road. I went to see him, and there's these massive companies that are there all just promoting their solar batteries and their generators and their this and their that. And then in this tiny little corner right at the back of the Sandton Convention Center is a table with a white tablecloth written Eskom. I even took a picture. I couldn't believe it. I was like, Eskom, this is you guys. I kid you not. All these other companies had these massive stalls. They really put their back in it. You could see that they were about it. They came and they knew what the assignment was. Eskom pulled up with a table and a tablecloth and maybe some flyers in a little corner. I was like, yo, this is so embarrassing.
Oh, it's so bad.
Ooh, I was embarrassed.
I saw Cyril yesterday on TV. Because you never spot the guy anymore. We joke every week about how we don't know what he's doing every day, but apparently he was out there doing things for Workers' Day. He was addressing some rally or I don't know what. I mean, it's just so pathetic that we even bother with a Workers' Day when I think it's 27% of the workers in South Africa are unionized, which means they don't even make a third of the people who do have jobs in this country. So they no longer represent anything really important. And it seems to me like this ANC Kasatu thing is about as fractured as it's possible to be. I don't know. I don't know why we bother. Workers' Day is like this hangover from the days with the ANC and the communists in Soviet Russia. It's just a stupid day. And there was President Cyril busy talking about, our partnership with COSATU is alive and well. You know, he always sounds like he's half asleep. He can't really, he makes no sense when he talks because the tone is so bad. Where is my iPad? I think I've lost my iPad. Has anyone seen my iPad? Do you remember that shit?
I remember.
Like, workers of the world unite. Workers of the world unite. It's a bullshit.
tired. I'll never stop saying that being the president of South Africa.
Your sound has just gone horrible. Something just went horribly
What did you
wrong.
just do? Whatever you just did worked because it's gone now.
I did nothing, but it suddenly started going. It's like Cyril.
It's the spirit of Cyril. It's the spirit of Cyril saying, "Shh, stop talking about me."
Where is my microphone? My microphone is broken. I don't understand. Someone help me fix my microphone.
If there isn't a flag falling on top of him, he's speaking slower than he's working. I will always say that being the president of South Africa is such a side hustle for Cyril. He can't even hide it anymore.
Right.
It's literally like, oh, Konje, there's this other thing I have to do. His real 9 to 5 is just being a billionaire. That is it. And we need to come to terms with that. And all he needs to do is get up on that podium, switch on the accent that the country relates to, and then he keeps it moving. The minute that speech is done, he goes back to the Cyril that we all know. It's just back to Hyde Park Cyril living his best life. And then, oh, I've got that other job I need. And it's nonsense, dude. Yesterday was just an embarrassment. When the unemployment rate is so high, what are you talking about up there?
Exactly.
What nonsense. What are you possibly going to say that the person at the bottom is going to say, oh man, I really believe in this guy. He's talking right to me. I'm going to vote for him next year.
Well, you see, the other big problem we have is without getting into the details of this because it's really boring. But
yeah,
we have public sector unions. In other words, the people who work in the state, they work for the government, they work for the bureaucracy. They're in state-owned enterprises. They are nurses and police people who are paid for by the state. These people are the most unionized in South Africa. So obviously, with COSATU and the ANC being in this tripartite alliance, your employer and the people who are representing you in the unions are in bed together. So all they do is they come to arrangements where the only people who get fucked are the taxpayers, and your salary keeps going up, even if it's not up as much as you would like from the union side. It's just it's ridiculous. It's like someone playing their mom and dad off each other because the kid is smarter than the mom and the dad. That's what's happening. So
it's nonsense.
I don't see a solution to this. Anyway, someone sent me this. This is pretty scary. Apparently, these are the kinds of books that kids are being given at school to deal with. And I'm not talking about school in America. I'm talking about some of these schools here in South Africa to deal with transgenderism. So you're a mom. I want you to look at this and tell me what you think of this. This is Henry the Unicorn. And Henry the Unicorn is all about gender identity, gender expression, sex assigned at birth, physically attracted to and emotionally attracted to. And this is for kids, young kids, to understand. I don't know why any kid needs to know this stuff before they get to their teenage years at least. But this is being written clearly for like younger children. Dude,
at my big age, I can't even tell you what's going on with this thing. Like these color codes and these diagrams, it's already confusing me. What more my children?
It's clearly bullshit, but it is now being disseminated in certain schools. And if I were a parent, I would want to know
this is very worrying
being taught at school, because look at this. So
this is worrying.
What we've got here is gender identity, female, woman, girl, man, men, male, boy, and then other genders, which is unclear, but that's something that you would think of in your head, according to Henry the Unicorn. Then there's gender expression, which is feminine, masculine, or other. Again, nobody goes on to define other. Then they talk about sex assigned at birth, as opposed to
oh my gosh,
what biologically you are. I mean, no one comes up to you. Imagine a doctor walking up to a kid who's just been born and going, I'm gonna say maybe this child identifies as a teapot. No, a doctor goes up, looks at whether you've got male genitalia or female genitalia, or you're deformed. That's basically what they do. So the sex assigned at birth is bullshit. And this is what they're teaching very young kids. Okay,
this is what worries me.
This is it. So they're handing out material like this. Physically attracted to women, men, or other. Emotionally attracted to women, men, or other. I mean, it's just confusing bullshit that really isn't. There's no place for this in school for very young children. Sure, you could talk about
leave our kids alone. Just leave our children alone and just stop trying to shove down this hogwash that you guys have made up to make yourselves feel better because you are confused in your own life. Just leave our kids out of it and go see someone. Just sit down on a couch, pay someone lots of money to listen to your problems, because this is nonsense. This is absolutely not the genderbread person. Oh, God.
Oh, no. Yes, this is the genderbread person, which is an actual thing. I just think parents should know about this. Someone sent this to me because they know a teacher at one of these schools, and the teacher has a problem with this stuff. But if she says
anything, this?
I can't say because I didn't bring the information. You must just check. If you're a parent, you must find out whether they're teaching this bullshit at your school. Really?
I feel like this is confusing our kids even more.
Exactly.
On top of the already daily confusion of being a child with a personality that is still developing and being exposed to all these things of the world that sometimes they are being exposed to too early. I feel like this is putting it right in front of them. Hi, this is confusion. Have a look and you tell us what you think. This is unfair. This is it's sick.
Hey, good morning. You're on. What's up?
Hi there, it's Rebo.
Hey.
It's Rebo. Morning.
Hey,
morning.
So my seems to be 17 going on 18-year-old for the last 5 years has been bullied for being straight, heterosexual male. So this is where the world, he gets bullied online. And it's pathetic. And he's got friends who are 14, let's say, 15, whose parents have allowed, now here in South Africa, have allowed themselves to be manipulated into letting their kids become these transgender, taking testosterone. It's happening in South Africa as we speak. And it's rampant.
So, Ruth, I mean, I don't want everyone to go into a panic here, but it does sound to me like it is something that is spreading to South Africa too. Who are the people who want to introduce this nonsense to children? What kind of sick weirdos are busy getting involved with like other people's children and this stuff?
I think it's these big corporations. I mean, you look at, of course, the Magic. What are the big Castle Magic? I mean, they've taken huge knocks now because of their woke productions.
What, you're talking about Disney?
Yes. I don't want to say the name. Instead, we get all sued. No. But, I mean, their stuff is completely, I mean, their last film was what? About look, I don't care what you are, whether you're straight, gay, just don't put it on me. Just don't make me wrong for believing what I am. So anyway,
I just feel like I'm not even a parent, and I know that it must be very, very difficult for parents, but there's something very wrong and very creepy and very weird about adults involving themselves in other people's children's education.
Yeah.
About like this that have nothing. You have no business talking to kids at primary school. I'm gonna let you go, Ruth. Your dogs are going crazy. You have no business telling other people's children this stuff at school or preschool. It's just wrong. It's wrong. And don't tell me that things like this genderbread. Don't tell me that that's made for high school. There's no way. That's not high school.
No, those colors are a bit too bright for high school. You know what you're doing.
Right. They don't use graphics like this for high school kids. So
not that unicorn, child. That unicorn is not saying high school. Can these things not almost have a boundary where these things should just be managed in the home? As far as mommy, daddy, I'm struggling with my sexuality or I'm confused. Shouldn't the parents be responsible for addressing these things and guiding their children in this path versus the teachers? Because remember, like your role as a teacher is an educator in the school setting. It's not as an educator in the overall setting, because the primary things that you're learning should be in the household, the values, the morals, the blah, blah, blahs. That's what your parents and your siblings and whomsoever your guardians are teaching you and exposing you to. But as soon as the teachers or the schools now creep into that space, these poor children are going to believe everything that they see and say, well, teacher Paul says that the gender unicorn believes that it's okay that my nipples tingle when I see it. No, I just think it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible of the schools to allow the teachers to take this upon themselves to be the ones that are teaching these things. And maybe it's time for a fucking intervention with these schools that, hey guys, slow your fucking roll. Put up the handbrake.
If you're a teacher and you are knowingly and willfully implementing this into the curriculum without parents' knowledge, and you're teaching kids this stuff, as far as I'm usually on the side of teachers, but if you're doing that, I'm one of those people who says you should be arrested because you're interfering in the decisions that only a parent gets to make about them.
Exactly.
And if you're a teacher who's teaching this bullshit at school because you have a political inclination or ideological sympathy for something or whatever, I reckon that the state should come after you and they should put you in jail. This is wrong. Also, if you're a parent and you suspect any of this stuff, you should be able to walk into that school and you should be able to say, hey, what's this gender-bred person bullshit? And you should be able to have your child exempted from that class. Plus, if you are the kind of parent who has any sense of social responsibility, you should be telling other parents what nonsense they're being taught. Now, I don't know how far this has gone. Again, this is just something that I was given, and a friend of mine who's friends with this teacher, which is why I can't name anybody. But it does bother me that this is happening in South Africa. I thought this was just a thing in America, right?
No, it's obviously, it starts there and it always trickles down to us, just because we're always consuming what they consume, and it was only a matter of time. But Gareth, there is a bigger problem at hand here, is that these kids are going to eventually become young adults who are the most confused, who don't know from the difference between A and Z. They don't know the difference between blue and red because they are growing up in such a confused environment, and it's almost like they're being taught this confusion. They are going to struggle even more as young adults who are just confused. And we are yet to see what that's going to be. I saw a video the other day of a grown man with a beard crying because somebody in his gaming, he does this online streaming gaming thing, somebody referred to him as a him. So he was playing online, and this person that he's playing with was like, yeah, you know how it is, him, he's like, no, please, I refer to, I'm they. And the guy was like, what do you mean? They is plural. And he's like, yeah, but for hundreds of years, they has blah, blah, blah. And he cried about it. This is a grown man with a beard crying about being called. Yeah. And this shows you the depth. We fucked. We fucked.
Well, Lebang, if you start confusing, the whole point of education is to help people not be confused, about basic stuff like this is red and this is blue and this is male and this is female. And if you steal, you go to jail. And things like that. You help kids to have clarity. You don't make things more confusing for them. And here you are introducing like weird things. I mean, here, for example, stuff that I don't think anybody needs to know until they're well into adulthood. Like, I deleted this stuff. Oh, here it is. So things like, for example, intersex, the idea that there are people who have both male and female genitalia. Now, that is obviously something that happens. But it is not something that you need to worry about as a kid. The chances of it happening to you are infinitesimally small. And finally, on this point, you probably will encounter no people who are intersex in your life. And if you do, it'll be a rare thing that you start talking about each other's genitals straight away. So it's not something that you need to know at a young age. It's just very, very weird to me.
Not at your small age should you even be questioning those things. And if ever you are, that's where the parents come in. I literally speak about this every single week on Life with Lebang. It's part of the reason why I'm part of my kids' PAC. I'm part of the Parents Association Committee because I want to know, what are you guys teaching our kids? What exactly are they learning every day? What are the values of the school? As a parent, it's my duty to be that involved, regardless of how much I'm paying the school to do the parenting on my behalf when I'm not there, in inverted commas. I still need to know exactly what is going into the schools. And these are some of the things that we discuss at these meetings. It's how we're going to tackle this gender thing that's happening. And luckily, the school that my kids are at, They are like a no bullshit. We're not hearing it. Like
Good.
none of that is going to
Good.
take place because it doesn't exist. Like in our culture, in the way we do things, it's just not a real thing. And I just hope that they don't buckle because the pressure is there, Gareth. A lot of these private schools are now like, what are we going to do? We need to change the toilets to unisex. We need to make sure that we inclusive and do the them and the theys. And hey, man, cool story, bro. Good for you. I don't want my kids to grow up and be even further confused by the things of this world. I feel like we're doing them all a disservice.
Well, I thought I just better, when I saw these, I thought, this is some bullshit. So, whenever I find things that are funny or ridiculous, I bring them on the show. So let's see what else we keep our eyes open, everybody, even if you're not a parent, you know about this shit. All right. Apparently the Coronation menu, I know everybody's super excited about this, has been released, and Coronation chicken did not make the cut. It's Coronation quiche, British lamb, and Coronation trifle this time around. Yummy. I don't care what they're eating at the Coronation, but there we go.
I didn't even know people cared.
No, there are a few things about this Coronation which is all happening on Saturday, and the British are so excited about it. They every little village all over England, they're putting up. We're going to put up our bunting, and we're going to have tables out on the street. People is going to eat. We're going to have the day off. Everybody's going to be drinking. Obviously, there'll be a lot of drinking.
Lots of beers.
They're very excited, the English. What can you say? I mean, this is their thing. The Coronation's the biggest thing for them. It's way bigger than a royal wedding or any of that stuff.
The recipe for this Coronation quiche is actually available online. There's some spinach, some broad beans, and some tarragon, which might be a nod to his sustainable agriculture. This is lovely. King Charles is just doing God's work here. Shout out.
This King Charles is he's already starting to make some very odd decisions. He apparently, instead of following the coronation format that has been followed for 1,000 years and having the people who've always been present at coronations there, he's invited a bunch of his charities. So we're going to have a whole bunch of like NHS workers and people who work in the Prince of Wales Trust. All of these people sitting it's just, I don't know why they always feel they have to nod heads with these people. They're already supplying them with charity money. They're already supplying important patronage. I don't know why, but they have to invite all these charity workers into the church instead of the people who've always been there for thousands of years, who've made the coronation an occasion. So I'm just worried this is going to be like a watered down kind of middle class kind of Britain in the 21st century, Little Britain type of. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to be. They've already cut out a whole part of the ceremony where, the king is recognized by, the families who've kind of been in charge in Britain for thousands of years, and the ones who've kind of created so much of the backbone of what Britain stands for. And now they're going to replace it with like the curry shop down the road's charity auction, highest bidder, and that person's going to be sitting in the front row.
Well, look at it this way, Gareth, for somebody like you who is obviously like a history buff, the stuff is it's all like important and it matters and it's great.
Well, nobody else knows. I know.
Nobody really, it's just, it's the coronation. When I hear coronation, I think of freaking cartoons and Disney. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But for you, it makes, but as somebody living there, they are probably just like, how does the royal family and such ancient practices remain relevant? How do they make sense to the modern day England? I mean, that's kind of the perspective that one needs to be privy to and like kind of be honest about. I mean, you have to bring the curry store's freaking charity in there because they are hot, the best curry in town. That's where everybody goes for it. So relevance, it is what it is, Gareth. Otherwise, nobody's gonna care.
I see like a whole lot of tradition and years and years of what's been happening just being thrown aside because King Charles is so shit scared that someone like Meghan Markle again calls him racist or they get called irrelevant, or so he panders to the crowd. You can just see there's a lot of what Charles does that is all about pandering to the crowd. And frankly, that crowd are the same people who are buying Prime Energy drink and whatever else. They don't give a shit. They'll change their.
There you go. Hit the nail on the head with that one. It'd be like that.
I got that off my chest. That's a big deal.
You feel better now?
Jared says, our council has no less than 10 street parties planned for our area. Anyone wanting to travel anywhere should think again. That's in the UK where Jared is.
So it's a party.
Mm-hmm. The Guardian in the UK is investigating their actual total wealth, hence charity invites. Well, who still reads The Guardian? I have to ask that.
People do, Gareth.
Please. Inbred monarch. What a waste of time and money, says Nightwolf.
Like, in 2023, sure.
I thought there were pork sausages on the table, but those were just Charles's fingers, says Slippery.
Hey, didn't we say we're going to stop making fun of his fingers because it's an actual medical condition? It's not like, it's a real thing. I don't think he chose it.
I don't know. Anyway, I'll be watching on Saturday. I'll be watching. I think
Will
it'll be. Yes, I will. It's one of the few times that my TV gets dusted off and actually switched on. So yes, I will.
Hectic. Yeah, no, you are knee deep in this stuff. If you could get an invite to the coronation, you would totally go. You would go, Gareth. And you'd get a suit made, and you'd like make sure that you've got somebody like gathering all this content for you, like your big coronation. Can we try and get Gareth an invite?
I really don't think that this is going to be the kind of coronation everybody's expecting it to be. I think it's going to be first of all, they've cut it down to an hour. It used to be 3 hours. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I'm not sure.
Good.
But, it's all like there's something about this that just feels cheap.
Does it feel a bit washed, like a little bit watered down, man?
No, it's like they've just made it the social media version. Like, because these people have the attention span of a fruit fly, so we can't possibly make it longer than an hour. If it's not shorter than a football match, we're going to be in some trouble. Somebody says, and then Charles goes,
"You better make it quick, then, innit? Make it quick."
Right. We just make it too long, or they should lose interest, and then of course I become irrelevant, which is the most terrible thing possible. Well, let's see what happens.
Let's see. I mean, it's not the Grammys. It's not the Met Gala. It's not one of those like big hyped up events. This is like an actual historic, real thing that has played its role in, paving the way of history and essentially what the modern world kind of looks like now. So, with that being said, I can dig it. I completely get it.
I've got a book here somewhere.
Oh, Gareth is looking at his beautiful library.
This fat, and it's all about what has happened at coronations for 1,000 years. Now they're going to go and chop that up. Let me just see where I can
and summarize it into like a 2-pager.
They're going to do the Instagram Reels version.
That's pretty good. They'll probably just highlight like all the things that have to happen, like the stuff that people want to see, and then they'll just like minimize it all, just like water it down for us to consume it. And they're not wrong. Because Gareth, if they do the 3-hour historic version that goes through every single thing, people are going to complain, and they're going to be cancelled, and they're going to be this, and they're going to be that, and da-da-da-da-da. And they don't want that. They don't want that mess. They don't.
All right. Well, lots of people talking about Charles's fingers. That's all that anyone wants to know about this pork sausages, the royal pork sausages. All right. A couple other things before we get to Markets Tuesdays, even though it's meant to be Markets Mondays.
Yeah.
We've got one or two other stories. Apparently, the US rock band, we talked about the Backstreet Boys a while ago, and we were like,
I remember.
Well, and are you going? Because I found out that friends of mine who are very, very much more keen than me are going to go and see them. And I'm not even feeling a little bit of FOMO. So I'm not going to go. But these friends of mine are super excited about the Backstreet Boys. And then I saw this, which is unbelievable. But apparently Aerosmith are announcing their farewell tour. I don't know how many people in Aerosmith are still alive.
Sure.
But Joe Perry, Steven Tyler, let me show you a picture of what they look like at the moment, just so you can get some idea of what Joe Perry and Steve Tyler look like right now. And Steve Tyler looks like a grandma, and not a good grandma, by the way. I mean, let me just show you what these guys are currently, looking like, and you could see why they're on a farewell tour. And I'm not being ageist, because
It's giving ageist, Gareth.
Here it is. Look, you tell me.
Sure,
There
this
they
is definitely farewell.
The only reason that you can tell that Steve Tyler isn't a Chardonnay drinking housewife in her late 60s is because he's got a moustache. And then obviously these days it could be they, them, so it doesn't even matter. But there he is with Joe Perry, the guitarist. Aerosmith have announced their farewell tour. I know you're very, very sad about this, Lebang, because you're
Sure.
a big fan.
That's like my era.
They're going to mark their 5 decades together. The band, who are all in their 70s now, are well known for such hits as Dream On, Walk This Way, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. And they broke the earth-shattering news in a star-studded video on Monday, featuring celebrity pals Ringo Starr, Dolly Parton, and Eminem. It's not goodbye, it's peace out, they declared in a joint statement.
Earth-shattering.
Get ready to walk this way. You're going to get the best show of your lives. So there we are. They're going to be doing...
Let's be honest, there's definitely people out there who are moved by this and who cannot wait and are probably lining up to get tickets and have been following the band since maybe their 20s and their youth. So for them, this is exciting. Can't say the same for myself. And good for them. Good for them. If they can still get up there and rock and they're in their 70s, then we should be taking notes, Gareth, because we're already complaining about back pains. Huh? So they're doing something right.
Well, our own George Meany says Steve Tyler is a reincarnation of Mick Jagger. Only problem with that, George, is Mick Jagger's not dead. So how can he be a reincarnation? Mick Jagger's somehow still alive. So I don't know what's going on there. Steve
Jagger
Tyler's
2.0.
swag, though, says lovely Lady Lee. He's got swag?
Hey, man. I don't know if that's swag, but like he's definitely got a vibe about him, which he hasn't lost, which is good. And it's cool. It's probably the same thing that is getting him up there to do these shows. That is nice, but the clock is ticking without a doubt. And I guess you want to go out doing what you love.
Lebang, my dad had an Aerosmith record in his collection. That's how old.
Yeah, look.
So just saying, maybe it's time. 5 decades been together. Well done to them. But hang up those guitars and go and retire, guys. Go and enjoy the rest.
Go be on a beach somewhere, drinking, pina coladas, tanning.
There's no need for you to be rocking, dancing around on a stage and exhausting yourselves, getting high blood pressure. No? Don't do it.
Just live, live these last couple as best as possible, doing absolutely nothing, relaxing.
Correct.
But Gareth, you and I were supposed to go to the Backstreet Boys concert together. So I'm a little bit sad that your friends are going. I asked you to hook me up with tickets. You probably forgot. I tried to buy them. They sold out immediately. So I guess I'm just not going.
Sorry.
Ha! You're never going to try fight for me.
I know you're heartbroken, but no, sorry. All I have to say is I'm sorry.
So what now? I must just go to the venues and hustle my way in.
You will have to make up some story that that you had one of the Backstreet Boys kids back in the day and that you're there to claim, what is it? Alimony? What would you claim? Like maintenance from one of the Backstreet Boys?
It's too late for me. I must just accept that I'm not going to the concert.
Listen, I think this is a really good discussion. And it's one I've had with some friends of mine before. Do you really want to see a band that are no longer really in their prime? Like, if you do. So you want to see these guys. You think they will still, you feel like you're in the 90s.
Bring me the Spice Girls right now in their age, however they are. I'll take them as they are and I will sit there and I will enjoy every moment. Why? Because those songs made me feel a certain way back in the day. It's all nostalgia and I love it for them. When Drew Hill was in South Africa, I was there. When TLC was in South Africa, I was there. I'm literally a whore for these kinds of concerts. Nostalgia is my currency. Bring it to me. Take my money. I'll be there.
A friend of mine said she went and saw Phil Collins, but he was already way past his prime. Like he wasn't the Phil Collins that used to be able to smash those drums, and now he's got like arthritis, and he really struggled, and he's old and he's bald, and he's not the guy that everybody thought was so fantastic, or a lot of girls were impressed by him in the time. She said she saw this little old man on stage and she felt kind of sorry for him. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't go,
Shame.
and it's none of my business. Like, if you want to go and see the Backstreet Boys going, everybody, rock your body, but they all in their 40s or 50s, you go
Yes.
ahead. You
Yes,
go
they
for it.
probably, some of them are wearing nappies. It's fine. Just stand up there and make us remember the good old days.
There are some of us who would prefer to remember these things with the excitement of the time that they were cool. In other words, that
Sure.
there was this window period where things like the Backstreet Boys were a big deal. People
Yeah.
liked that. You know,
Yeah.
they were the biggest stars in the world at one stage. Boy bands were a thing at that point.
Sure.
And it's like, it's done now. And to see like a reenactment, even if it's the real people, it feels kind of sad and lame, because they're these old guys and they can't bend their knees like that anymore, and they can't dance like that anymore. You're going to watch the Backstreet Boys, they're all standing there, or one or two of them are like propped up from behind with a plank, holding them up. They're like, everybody. They can't lift their arms higher than that because it hurts.
As long
No,
as
no.
the voice is still there. I mean, sure, the body ages, right, as you grow older, but the voice, if you still have that voice and you can hit those notes, then we are down. Are you telling me if Eminem decided to come to South Africa, you'd say, yeah, well, it's not the same Slim Shady, so I'm not going to go. You will be there, bro.
Eminem did come to South Africa and I didn't see him. There's your answer.
Come on, Gareth.
There's your answer. You just picked a random example from the air, and I've just proven to you I am consistent. I don't think I want to see the sad old Backside Boys. I would rather remember them from the time when I was young, when they were young. It's like a time capsule. It's done now. It's like lovely. And when I hear their songs, I still know the words.
Yeah.
I still smile. I still laugh. It's still fun. But I don't need to see them like being wheeled out. And
no,
I really do.
I hear you, but I feel like there's a sort of like beauty in that you are kind of growing. You're growing with them, Gareth, as you're growing. Because look, these are stars. These are celebrities who are almost unattainable as when you like them. When they're in their prime, you can't touch them. But they are human beings just like you. As you're growing, so are they. I think there's kind of something nice about that. That, Eminem, you're now 82 years old. That's still cool. Back in the day, you made this great music and I was there when you were in your prime. I kind of like that it's a journey that we're all going through together, because now we're almost making it seem like you're only useful to us when you're in your prime. And then after that, we can check you out.
You're trying to justify this and you're not doing a very good job.
Look, the point is I'm going, and I know there's a lot of people that agree with me. We are going to support our favorite artists. It doesn't matter how old they are. It doesn't matter if they are the Backside Boys or whatever's going on. If they evoked some sort of emotion at some point in our lives, I think they are still worthy. And besides, man, I mean, we got to support them, bruh.
It's sold out. I'm in the minority. I'm happy about that. I don't mind. I don't need to be buying Prime energy drink. I don't need to be going to see the Backside Boys. I don't need to be doing any of this stuff. Yeah. I'm going to live a perfectly happy life without the FOMO that you will have by not seeing.
I still want tickets. I still want tickets. If somebody calls Gareth and says, oh, Gareth, here's some Backstreet Boy tickets, Gareth should say, I know somebody who would really like those tickets. She's my co-host. Boom. And then I'll go. So just putting that in the universe.
All right. There'll be lots of other has-beens who'll be out here soon. So you can go to those concerts as well.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Let's turn our attention to what would normally be Markets Mondays with markets.com, but today it is a Tuesday. So whether you're a new trader looking for a safe place to start, or you're an experienced trader, someone who's done this for a while and you know exactly what's going on and you need all those tools at your disposal, you maybe do big spreads, you do multi-assets, you do high tech, you will find markets.com suits you perfectly, because there is a special offer for all our fans as well. If you listen to cliffcentral.com, they're not just going to give you access to the platform, which is free, but if you sign up today and you register with markets.com, you follow the link on Cliff Central, you will get a 30% bonus on your deposit. Now, that sounds too good to be true, because it is, but go and check it out. A 30% bonus on your deposit. Follow the link from cliffcentral.com. to get into markets.com and register. Do it today. And while we're talking about this, it is time to bring on none other than Dylan Bester, who's been with us a couple of times already. Dylan is the guy who is going to help us understand what's going on with markets.com this morning and with the market in general. He's the co-founder and director at Skycastle International Investments, and he's a business partner of markets.com. How are you, Dylan?
Good, thanks.
Good, man. Nice to see you.
You too.
Dylan's in studio with me.
I know. I know. I can tell you two have already had a conversation about all this stuff. But let's just talk about Q1, which is the first quarter of the year 2023 earnings season, which is upon us. So there are financial institutions like JP Morgan, Citigroup, BlackRock. They're all releasing their earnings, along with retail and B2C giants like Procter & Gamble, Nestle, Johnson & Johnson. Big releases from big tech, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, a whole lot more. So what can you tell us about earnings season so far?
Well, what we've already had a lot of these companies you've mentioned reporting. So over the last 2 weeks, these companies have reported. Generally, what's happened is they've beat consensus. So a lot of these companies, from banks all the way to information technology, to your consumer staples and your consumer defensives like your Procter & Gamble's, have actually managed to beat the expectations. But the expectations were lowered by analysts over the world going into the season. So it's caused a bit of a positive outlook on earnings so far this season, although the guidances in that haven't been as staunch and as high as they expected them to come in at.
So are you telling me it's generally good news or generally bad news?
Generally good news. So it's been a good season. I mean, we've had the markets pushing higher. General companies, it's a very mixed bag. You've got some companies on the lower end, not the names you mentioned, but they haven't done as well. But your bigger names, your bigger companies have managed to still continue to perform in the rough trading environment that we've seen over the last 6 to 12 months.
All right, so Dylan, tell us quickly, because this is excellent. It's a great way to start Markets Mondays, even though it's a Tuesday. Normally, people don't expect this kind of good news, and considering the way the markets have behaved in the last year, 2, 3, it's very, very good indeed that we have a little bit of earnings season news, which is positive. So tell us, given current inflation, which is the big ugly word that keeps on rearing its head in South Africa and the world, what would happen for the Fed to pivot their strategy? Of course, they're playing around with interest rates. It's the only tool that they have at their disposal to control or to influence inflation. What do you think is going to happen over there with the Fed in America, and then obviously the Reserve Bank here in South Africa? Oh, hang on. Ooh. Sorry, start that again. Sorry, Dylan. Go ahead.
No problem. What we've got tomorrow is we've got the Federal Reserve releasing their statement for interest rates. The expectation is for another 25 basis point hike, and then followed by a hold period where they're going to assess the economic data and potentially start cutting rates, but only around the end of this year. The important factor to remember here is that the pivot here would mean that they would come in on Wednesday tomorrow and actually cut rates. That'll take a lot of pressure off the actual consumer at the moment, and then have a lot of a positive spin on the overall economy going forward, because you're lightening on your interest rates, which you said you'd get up to 5%. So, I mean, the last 12 months has been excessive for any consumer in the US. They've had interest rates going up 4.5% from almost zero. So it's a very, very different environment than what they find themselves in. So a pivot, I think, would be found with a lot of optimism, where the Fed started cutting rates straight away. The likelihood of this, though, in the given circumstance at the moment isn't really more than 40%, just because they've still got a long road ahead of them. They still got this year. We've had sort of a better earnings season, but inflation still, it has slowed, and it's slowed nicely, good enough, but not to the levels where they're expecting. So it might take another few months to actually work us down to get to a point where they have to sort of pivot. So I don't think there's a pivot ahead for us to cut rates, but there certainly is some form of hike rate, and then from there we can actually assess the data and see what transpires in the next few months.
All right. So considering what's going on in the global macro economy, what is the likelihood of an impending recession? This is also the big ugly word that everyone's avoiding. We had people talking about recession for the last 3 years. whether or not we've actually clicked over into recession or not seems to be almost like a political football at the moment, because they keep redefining a recession. But do you think that we have big gray clouds on the horizon, or do you think that we have largely managed to escape that reality because of the way that interest rates, among other things, have played their part in the global macroeconomy?
I certainly don't think we're going to miss in a recession. I think there will be a recession. Whether this is excessive recession, the term here would be a hard or soft landing on this recession. The hard landing on a recession would effectively mean that there's no more. There's a period after rates that there's basically stagflation. There's a big slowdown in the overall economy. I think we're going to miss that. But there is going to be some form of recession where we could get to a point, and that's, as you say, they've redefined the term already last year to say 2 quarters of negative growth don't actually mean a recession. They've done this before with inflation. They called it wrong. So my expectation here is that we will go into recession. We've already seen a slowdown in growth, which is flowing through to the economy. So there will be a recession, but I don't think it's going to be as drawn out as everyone expects. The Federal Reserve have come out a few times and said they're here to support the market and in general, the stock market. So there will be a recession, just be sort of short-lived, let's call it 3 to 6 months, and then we'll continue from there. I don't think it's going to be a massive drag on the economy, but it's also quite an interesting time. I mean, we've got to get that inflation number down, and that's going to be our determinant now from inflation, and also the growth of the economy.
Okay, so we've heard about all these Q1 earnings, and we've heard what you think is going to happen with recession, the global macroeconomy. But what should traders be looking out for when it comes to earnings season? What should we be looking for in the results of these companies, among other things? Like, what would you be looking at as a trader?
So there's 3 factors I'm focusing on at the moment. That's certainly, given the environment, I'm focusing on margins. So company operating margins and their net profit margins. How are these faring in this environment, and what are they guiding over the next quarter? Second to that is if there's any AI or any form of AI to increase their productivity. So that's the second thing. And then also any sort of comments on China or global supply chain infrastructure. Because that's quite an important part at the moment, because there seems to be a bit of tension flaring again between the US and China. And you don't want that to be a sort of backstop for your company to continue earning. So those are the 3 factors we're focusing on, but mainly it's margin compression, how these companies are faring with higher costs, and are they going to make it out? And we've seen a lot of the information tech companies actually reporting better margins to show that they're still able to produce good results on these margins, but they've also cut quite a lot of employees. So those are the 3 factors: the margins, any comments on AI or how they're going to use it in the future. Certainly the biggest factor. We've seen a lot of the bigger companies like Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, all actually continuing higher these stock prices just on the back of AI comments.
Can hear me.
Gareth, we lost you.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that.
Pressed the wrong button. Okay, so people come here to listen to you and to hear from markets.com so we can get some good business advice on what we should do with our trades. But obviously, a lot of the time, there aren't really obvious things that everybody should be doing. Otherwise, we would all be doing them anyway. But what do you think the most solid portfolio choices you can make at the moment might be? S&P, Dow Jones, how are all those indices performing at the moment?
I mean, these companies have had a stellar start. I mean, these indexes have had a stellar start to the year. Your Nasdaq's up just around 21% for the year. Your industrials are up single digits, as well as S&P. I mean, the S&P carries a lot of weight with the banking and the financial crisis that we've just seen, and another one that happened last week. But in general, I mean, I would stay away from smaller companies that are based around hype. You've got to focus on sort of companies that are cash generative and making good money, just because they'll be able to fare the recession that's coming ahead. You don't want a company going into recession talking about slowing on their consumer. I mean, the amount of sales and revenue that's dropping, and they're going into recession. I mean, those are the first companies that are not going to continue to eke out a profit. That being said, though, is the best advice I can give is currently, if you see a profit in this environment and and this is more of a trader's market, more of an active environment. You don't want to be sitting still on a portfolio right now, just because you aren't sure of what's happening over the next 3 to 6 months. And some of these companies, and especially the indexes, are priced to perfection. So where we are now is literally where we should be at the end of the year. So we've got sort of 6 months runway, but the markets are already sort of priced in perfection. So any bad news going forward from here could cause some concern or some sort of value destruction, not destruction, but a value loss. Because I think you don't want to be sitting on companies that you've got a big loss in, and you want to just try and ride it out, because the recessionary talk and environment will certainly bring those values of those companies lower. So if you see a profit, take it, book it, and carry on. Look for your next opportunity.
All right. Finally, on that note, we've seen a couple of corrections in the commodities sector. A lot of people like to to mess around with, minerals, gold, with various other commodities. Oil. People like to take a chance on those things. What would you say about the commodities sector, and what movements are you expecting for commodities in the short term going forward from here?
Perfect. I'll comment on gold and on oil. Just we've had some recent headlines there. I mean, on the oil space, you've got OPEC, which is pretty much like an organized oil consortium. They're trying to control the price of oil, and higher oil prices for them mean better profit margins as well. So they continue to talk up the price of oil, and they continue to sort of influence the price of oil through their speech. So the likelihood here is that oil does go higher, and sort of goes back. It's around $80 to $90 at the moment. I do think it goes to $100 again, and potentially just above. We've seen gold as well, trading above 2,000 recently, which has been great. Although over the last, say, month, we've seen it come back. Although over the medium term, I do favor gold. I think it's the right sort of position to be in, just from perspective of owning gold in an economy where there's a recession. So I do favor commodities going higher in general. And that's the sort of broad outlook.
Well, there we go. You're not going to get better advice than that. Dylan Bester from markets.com this morning with Markets Mondays. And you can find out more by going to markets.com. I suggest that you check out all of the different things that they offer on their website. There are all kinds of useful tools, also resources that you can use, people who are really on the pulse like Dylan, who can help you with all of the information that you need, whether it's doing very complex things or whether it's doing the stuff that a brand new wet behind the ears trader might want to do. Dylan, really great to see you, and thank you very much for being on the show with us this morning.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Awesome. Very, very good. That is pretty much it for us today, though. You can find out more by going to cliffcentral.com. And we turned 9 years old yesterday. There is a huge library of stuff for you to go and check out on cliffcentral.com. 9 years worth of stuff. You will never get bored.
Sure.
There are people who might never have heard, even if you listen to us every day, right, Lebang?
There's literally so much there, and it dates back right to the 1st of May 2014. So if you want to play catch up and see what we've been up to for the past 9 years, cliffcentral.com. Just go through it all. It's all there for you, even some of the more embarrassing stuff. But look, it's a catalog of such good work. So enjoy.
Well, check it out. All right. Okay, everybody, have a happy... Ooh, I don't know why Steve Tyler just came on the show. Again. Have a happy day, and we will see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Have an awesome Tuesday.